Dinesh, you said this morning that you don't believe that we have to look to the idea that President Obama is a Muslim in order to explain his behaviors. For example, twice I attended the National Day of Prayer in the White House. That's been closed. We don't have that now. He shut it down. So if he is not a Muslim, as you said, and I agree with you that he is not, but his explanation for doing these things is colonial. We do have some people who view Christianity as a colonial force, if you will. Do you think, have you come across anything that would cause you to believe that the president views Christianity in the same way, kind of in the colonial category? Or is Christianity a force of oppression in the world? Do you think he would have that view, or have you come across anything like that?
Obama has at least two passages in Dreams from My Father where he talks about the colonial soldiers being accompanied by missionaries, and the two of them, in a sense, performing a joint colonial operation. Now, the significance of this, I think, is this. As I was chatting with a friend of mine the other day, I was half joking, but only half joking. I said, is Obama a Muslim? No. Is Obama a socialist? No. I said to him, the truth is far worse. And what I meant by that is that if Obama were a Muslim, it could be that he's not a radical Muslim. If he was a socialist, it could be that he got some half-baked ideas in college and he would grow out of it. The problem is, if you get an ideology in a very powerful way in your formative years, if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger in the movie and you come home and your parents have been killed and your family massacred, you become a man on a mission. You want to go back and avenge them and get the guys who did them, and that's going to be, you can't get out of that frame of mind. In fact, anything else becomes a distraction. Somebody else says, well, there's an oil spill in the, you're like, oh, I don't talk about an oil spill. I'm after the guys who did this to my family. Recently, Obama, you might have seen it's on YouTube and it's all over the web, he was speaking at an awards banquet and he was quoting the Declaration of Independence. And surgically, he removed our rights are endowed, he removed by our Creator. He just surgically knocked those three words out and he continued with the declarations. Now, again, you could say that he was being absent-minded, but it's interesting that his absent-mindedness happened to fall on the words Creator. Yeah. So, I don't know, is this part of his idea that Christianity has been, in his view, implicated in colonialism in the world? Historically, there is a little bit of grounding for that, but there's also a lot of counter-evidence. So, for example, when the Spanish colonialists were in South America, the people fighting the colonialists were the missionaries. In fact, the missionaries filed a report in Rome and called for Spanish colonialism in South America to be stopped because the colonialists were trampling on the souls of the Indians. So there's a very interesting history here. And Obama, from the couple of comments he makes, suggests to me that he does think Christianity has had a checkered history.
Okay, we got one last question, and this gentleman right down here gets to ask it. Yeah, sure, stand up. You can stand on your hands if you want to. But, oh.
Quick question, you're talking about the future, kind of more positive future, kind of stuck with Obama for the next 2 years, nobody on the internet. And so this anti-colonialism, yeah, so in a sense, my grandfather was a missionary in Cameroon, West Africa, and there still is sort of an ongoing problem with the French still kind of messing around with Cameroon, West Africa too much and kind of controlling the government. And so there's still a little bit of colonialism. So in a sense, we need to do a better, what would you suggest for a better positive view of how to deal with the colonial issue so we don't get stuck with whatever Obama's doing?
Okay, his question is that giving some of his background, his grandfather being a missionary in West Cameroons, and some of the negative legacy of colonialism, that is there a methodology for dealing with the negative legacy of colonialism rather than going the route that the president may be inclined to go?
When I was growing up on my street in India as a kid, whenever something went wrong, let's say a drain pipe burst on my street, the local politician would jump up and down and say, the British are responsible, the British did this to us. And technically he was right. They had built the infrastructure. But the truth is that the British left India in 1947. And as long as this guy kept jumping up and down and saying this, no Indian bothered to fix the pipe. It was the British's responsibility. Let's write a letter to Tony Blair or Gordon Brown. The point I'm trying to make is that India began to turn around when the Indians said, we have to take responsibility for our own destiny. It doesn't really matter how many schools the British built or didn't build. It doesn't matter whether British landlords beat their house servants with canes. The truth of it is, we do have a secret weapon. It's called cheap labor. If we can make stuff that the West wants to buy, and if we can take some of the legacies of colonialism, the English language, the universities, rule of law, democracy, there's a two-sided ledger here, and we can build on that, then India can become a rapidly growing country. Recently, the Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh gave a speech in Oxford that could not have been delivered when I was younger. He basically said, 2 cheers for colonialism. He said to the people in Oxford, he said, India's success. Why are the Indians doing well in the world today? We speak the English language, we have property rights, contracts, courts to enforce them, checks and balances, judicial proceedings in which dark-skinned guys wear white wigs. He goes, why do we do all this stuff? We got it from empire. And so the world is changing. My critique of Obama is not that in a way his history is wrong. His history is real. The anti-colonial wars, by the way, and the reason you have to understand Obama is a very serious guy, is these are not academic wars. These are real wars. A lot of people got killed. In India, these wars happened in the 1850s. There was a Sepoy rebellion, the British brought in troops, they shot everybody, but that was 150 years ago. Even my grandfather barely remembered it. The Mama rebellion in Kenya was from 1950 to 1960. Obama was born in 1961. This was very recent. His grandfather was put in a detention camp, his father was arrested. So this is a history that affected his family. In that sense, I don't blame him for being obsessed with it. But I think what is really scary to me is that he is now living in the time machine. He is, in a sense, fighting wars that have long been concluded, and he's fighting them out of the White House, and he's in the process jeopardizing our security and our prosperity. So, as I said at the end of my Forbes article, I said, in a way, this African polygamist, this inebriated socialist who bounced around on his iron legs and railed against the world for denying him his anti-colonial ambitions, this is the man setting the agenda for the most powerful country in the world through the reincarnation of his dreams in his son. The father supplies the inspiration, the son dutifully carries it out, and then my concluding line, America today is being governed by a ghost. And you can see why the White House is a little bit alarmed. Again, because the source of these ideas, Obama has a riveting scene where he goes to his father's grave, and he says in his own words, I touched the earth, and through the earth I imbibed my father's spirit. I'm not making this up. I am quoting Obama and drawing the implications of it from his own words. So again, I'm not claiming that I've got the recipe. I'm just saying I don't think that we've had a real debate on Obama. There are competing theories that to me don't really work. They're like hammers. You have to fit the data into them. The beauty of the anti-colonial key is it turns the lock. And stuff that you can't explain any other way. I'll give you a small concluding example and then close. I'll be delighted to sign books, and you should read more about this. But Obama comes into the White House, and the first thing he sees, or one of the first things he sees, is a large bust of Winston Churchill. Obama says, I don't want that here. I want it sent back to Britain. The British are a little taken aback. They think they have a special relationship. Churchill symbolizes that. They told Obama, please don't do this. Don't give it back to us. There are plenty of other places to put it. Put it in the vice president's office. Or put it in a lot of federal buildings. Obama goes, no, I insist it be returned. And that bust today is in the house of the British ambassador in Washington. It's off American soil. Now, why would Obama do that? Is that a socialist thing to do? No, it has nothing to do with that. Now, when we think of Churchill, we think of the man who fought the Nazis. That's not how I think of Churchill. When I was growing up in India in high school and we studied Indian history, we learned that when Gandhi went to see Churchill, shortly after that, Churchill said, "I will not be the prime minister who presides over the end of the British Empire." That's the Churchill I know. And Churchill happened to be prime minister of Britain in the 1950s during the severe aspects of the Mau Mau crackdown. In fact, India's prime minister in newly independent India, Nehru, wrote a letter to Lord Mountbatten, who carried it to Churchill, protesting what was going on in Kenya. And Churchill was preoccupied. He said, "I don't want to hear any more of this." He shut down the inquiry into the Mau Mau rebellion. My point is, Obama has very good historical reasons to hate Churchill. This act, that otherwise under no other theory makes any sense at all, is fully explained if you plug in the anti-colonial theory. So the beauty of a theory, any theory, is can it predict the facts? Not just the big stuff, but the little stuff that otherwise can't be predicted. And can it call the future? I think the real strength of this theory is once you imbibe it, you can look at the news and go, "See, I told you, that makes sense." So a lot of things have happened after my book's completed. Obama gives a speech on Iraq. I don't want to call it victory. I'm not interested in victory. I'm interested in bringing this to a close. That's the anti-colonial definition of success. Withdrawal is success because you shouldn't have been there in the first place. So this is not a way of bashing Obama, it's a way of understanding Obama. And that's really, I think, what we need at this critical stage of American history. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dinesh. Thank you, Dinesh.